Hello and welcome to AITPM News. Many road safety campaigns for young people have used animation of animals to try and show the right behaviour, but there is some concern that children might enjoy the pictures but not relate it to their own experiences on the road. The Automobile Club of Romania have developed an app that won a European Commission's Road Safety Charter Award. It uses cartoons, but it has a way of connecting it to reality, not only for the children, but also for the adults doing the driving.
The Automobile Club of Romania and the International Automobile Federation present Mr. Bear Driver, a game that teaches kids traffic safety while they're having fun. But people didn't know there was a catch. When played in a moving car, the game connects to GPS and Google Maps to track the real-life speed. If the legal speed is exceeded by more than 10 km per hour, Mr. Bear asks players to tell mommy or daddy to slow down.
Hei, mașina în care ești a depășit viteza legală. Spune-i lui mami sau lui tati să încetinească.
Încetinește! Faci accident, domnul urs!
If drivers don't slow down, the kids lose points and eventually the game ends in a crash. This way, children become safety partners on the road and learn that speeding is a big no-no.
The New South Wales government has announced that they will build Central Walk, a new underground pedestrian subway at Central Station. They say it will better connect passengers to trains, buses, light rail and the new Sydney Metro. There are obvious transport issues here that are very important, but any major transport hub needs to have a broader vision. As we briefly covered in an AITPM video news item in March, transport interchanges are not just about swapping between modes of transport. At the Arnhem station in the Netherlands, for example, 40% of people who come to the facility are not there to catch transport. But it has to be more than build it and they will come. The bus interchange in Tel Aviv was completed in 1993. It is a huge white elephant. The layout is a multi-central maze of misleading corridors, dark spaces and many, now abandoned, places. The most expensive railway precinct, which cost nearly $5 billion Australian dollars, is on the site of the 9/11 attacks in New York and has historic significance. The Atlantic City website has an interesting article on planning the transit hubs of the future. The closing date for submissions on the Central Walk project in Sydney is Wednesday the 2nd of August 2017. Links are on our website and we will cover the issue in the AITPM newsletter. We have often thought of a distracted driving crash as a momentary lack of attention, which started to happen up to, say, 6 seconds before the actual event. But researchers at the Age Lab at MIT have found that there are often indicators well beforehand. Age Lab research scientist Brian Reamer said, upstream, further prior to an event, we begin to see failures in attention allocation that are indicative of less awareness in the operating environment in the crash events. In other words, the problems that cause crashes start well before the crunch, and those problems often diminish our chances of coping with a high-risk situation. They were researching texting while driving, but identified prior or ongoing operational or secondary activities as indicators of problems that lead to a crash. Now that cars are developing systems to measure the physiological movements of drivers, this may be a valuable and expanding area for road safety. Firstly, we can detect drivers losing concentration or driving badly well before the crash risk is high and then warn them. How we warn them in an effective way needs further consideration. The next step, which is on the way to autonomous vehicles, is to have the car intervene in the driving, such as slowing the vehicle down while being cognizant of the traffic around it and the situation it is in. The CBDs in our major capital cities account for little more than 10% of the metropolitan jobs. Local centres are a major focus for work and other activities for their part in the whole metropolitan region. This has led to expressions that Sydney, for example, is and should be encouraged to be a city of cities. so regional centres should not be seen in a patronising way. It seems that suburban areas are thought of as the poorer cousins of large metropolitan regions, and we think that people in these regions only ever aspire to living and working in the richer inner suburbs. This is not the case for many people who are proud and happy to focus on their own area. Sadly, many of the largest transport projects are designed and promoted as mainly improving access to the CBD. But regional centres need a strong regional focus. And this is not just about shopping and office jobs. For example, just west of the Parramatta CBD is the highly advanced Westmead Medical Precinct, which is now being included in major transport improvements, as is the growing Western Sydney University. It is part of the vibrant leading development activities that help reduce the pressure, especially for transport, on just one CBD. Greater housing density is constantly advocated as a surefire way to be able to provide better public transport and more financially viable services within active transport access. At a recent forum organised by 10,000 Friends of Greater Sydney, some challenged the overall health benefit to the community by packing people in more tightly. Increasing density is a valid transport objective, but sometimes it has been seen in a one-dimensional sense. Recently, for example, calls have been made to make sure that if high density is built close to a high-volume road, then strong provision should be made to reduce the intrusion of air and noise pollution. I am also concerned that density is such an all-or-nothing debate that lower density suburban areas are dismissed as poor planning that is beyond hope. Autonomous public transport vehicles could well be a way to provide good, frequent public transport in lower density areas. We will get better, more compact living, but let's not become so one-eyed that we forget that the ultimate goal is the quality of life. We must implement higher density in a manner that won't create a backlash in years to come.